Hello and welcome to Nationwide. It's good to have you join us on the network service of the NTA. I am Lydia Ojiji-Ochi with the news. We'll begin with our first report from the Federal Executive Council meeting, which says over 40 billion naira is to be expended by the federal government on the completion, general maintenance, and emergency repairs of some critical roads infrastructure across the country. The Federal Executive Council, which gave the approval at its last meeting for the year 2020, also took major decisions towards improving the supply of power and water for enhanced standard of living in benefiting communities. Details will come in our subsequent bulletin. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has conditionally suspended its 9-month strike. Debola Brooklyn Sunday reports that President of the Union, Professor Biodun Oguyemi, who led other National Executive Committee members of the Union in a media briefing at the University of Abuja, Gwagwalada, said the suspension, which takes effect from today's midnight, was as a result of resolutions reached with the federal government.
We believe that the promises government made to us, government will fulfill. And we have that understanding with government on almost every aspect of our demands. So we held a National Executive Council meeting over the night. Our members said we should give government a chance to actualize its promises. Already we have resolved among ourselves to cancel our annual leaves. We are not going on leave. So we assure them that we are going to put in our best to recover the lost ground. They are not going to lose in terms of content and depth.
ASUU has been on strike since March this year over demands for more funding for public universities and renegotiation of the 2019 agreement with the federal government. And now to update on COVID-19. Some 999 new cases of COVID-19 has been announced by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, and these new cases increase the total number of confirmed cases to 79,789 in the country. Of these 999 new infections, the FCT recorded the highest of 416. Lagos has 324, Kaduna 68, Plateau 42, Kwara 32, Kano 24, Gombe 14, Sokoto and Yobe 12 each, Akwa Ibom 11, Bayelsa 10, Rivers and Bauchi have 7 new cases each, Ogun 6, Oyo 5, Edo and Taraba confirmed 4 each, while Jigawa recorded 1 new case. On total number of cases per state, Lagos has altogether confirmed 27,091 cases, followed by the FCT with 10,122 cases. Kaduna is next with 4,628 cases, while Plateau has recorded 4,304 COVID-19 cases. There are currently some 9,679 active cases being managed across the country, with 68,879 recovered patients discharged, with 1,231 deaths on record till date. This second wave of COVID-19 is strengthening stakeholders' commitment towards mitigating the spread of the virus and reducing pressure on health facilities across the country. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that guests on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live are raising concerns on effective framework to manage impacts of the vicious disease.
Second wave is spreading fast and gradually returning most countries of the world to another phase of lockdown to contain the upsurge of infection and casualties recorded in the last few weeks. Guest on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live say Nigeria's recent case profile of COVID-19 infection clearly demonstrates the low level of compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols and low testing by citizens to ascertain status of the virus.
The second wave at the moment looks like it's going to be very different to what we had in March, April. Already we're seeing an increased number of admissions into our treatment centers. People are presenting very sick. Unfortunately, some have died.
If you have a flu virus that has caused an epidemic or pandemic this year, by next or second year, it might not be the same virus again. It keeps changing and changing. So we hope we don't end up with that type of virus. Unfortunately, we're already seeing evidence that this virus has the potential to change.
Experts commended federal government and multilateral actors for sustaining interventions in the area of molecular testing centers and non-pharmaceutical equipment.
You need to use the face mask. The face mask is a barrier between you, yourself, and the other person and the droplets. The third thing is to ensure physical distance between people. If we are able to do these three first initially, to some large extent we'll be able to control this pandemic.
I call for a national nutritional supplementation policy. We've done that in case of goiter. That's why you have iodine that has to be added to the salt. Then we have cases of vitamin A fortification. We should come up with vitamin D and then vitamin C and a lot of other micronutrients that play key roles in immunological enhancement.
As statistics of patients in the second wave rises, stakeholders appealed to Nigerians to avoid social gatherings, observe safety protocols, and assess health facilities when symptoms are noticed in order to flatten the curve of the virus. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Meanwhile, in a bid to curb the upsurge in new cases of coronavirus, the Imo State Task Force on COVID-19 says failure to comply with preventive measures will henceforth attract stiff penalties. Chairman of the task force, Professor Maurice Iwu, made this known while briefing journalists in Owerri. Bright Ebocho reports.
The chairman, Imo State Task Force on COVID-19, Professor Maurice Iwu, while briefing journalists in Owerri, says they were able to record significant level of success during the first phase of COVID-19 infection due to proactive measures taken by the government and appreciable level of compliance by people. He notes that the upsurge may not be unconnected to the end of year festivities, which has witnessed increase in travels. He, however, assures that steps are being taken to curb the spread of the virus in the state.
We wear face masks whenever we are in public or in enclosure with other people. B, maintain physical distance. If we apply these basic principles during this season of Christmas and New Year, we almost guarantee that we will be able to live through this period safely. We've been doing a lot of community testing.
Available information reveals that Imo State has so far recorded 46 confirmed cases since commencement of the second wave of infections in Owerri. Bright Ebochu, NTA News.
Let's now join Hingino in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Hingino.
Thank you, Lydia. Still talking COVID-19. The second wave of coronavirus is the major concern in Nigeria presently. Governments at all levels have already commenced implementation of restrictions to contain the virus. This report gives us an update on the situation. The drop in cases of COVID-19 in August and September came as a huge relief to most Nigerians. People were optimistic that life would gradually return to normal. However, ignoring new safety habits and lifestyle not only crumbled previous efforts at curbing the spread of COVID-19, it complicated things. The result is a second wave.
If we are prepared for the second wave, but perhaps the second wave wouldn't come. So we therefore have to step up preparedness.
Nigerians need to be reminded that COVID-19 is still with us.
We don't want lockdown. We will use hand sanitizer and face masks to cover our nose.
Of every 100 COVID-19 tests performed in Lagos at present, 10 are positive. This is an increase from the 5 per 100 cases recorded in September. Now that the country is battling a second wave, government has ordered the reopening of isolation centers.
We should go back to the NPIs, the use of face masks. People who use it sometimes oftentimes put it on the chin rather than putting it to cover the face and the mouth.
The state government is also ramping up testing, surpassing 3,000 tests a day. So far, Lagos has carried out more than 200,000 tests with over 26,000 positive cases recorded. The state alone accounts for 25% of the total number of tests nationwide.
With regard to understanding of the disease symptomatology, we are better informed. Diagnostic capacity, we are better capable.
With the festive period just around the corner, it is expected that Nigerians will strictly observe preventive protocols to keep the killer disease at bay. Now away from COVID-19. As the countdown to Christmas continues, it is expected that the last-minute rush will adversely bring about a surge in air transportation. But Michael Olale was at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos and was surprised that air traffic is still relatively low.
The ambience at the domestic wing of the airport is a sharp contrast to the hustling and bustling that usually characterizes the Yuletide season. Activities were at a low ebb, with few passengers busy with the process of checking in and boarding. Although there is an increase in the volume of inbound travelers compared to outbound, the development raises the question of whether or not the recent increase in airfare or the continued adverse effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the hospitality business is responsible for the low patronage of the airlines.
The international economy has not felt well as it is, and it has trickled down to the pockets of Nigerians.
Coupled with the coronavirus of 18, everybody is conscious, life is sweet, and nobody wants to die.
For Olayiwola Oseni, an engineer, both factors are responsible for the decline in air travel, which he pointed out is now based on official or business obligations rather than for vacation or tourism, which is peculiar to holiday seasons. He also cautioned against flouting COVID-19 safety rules, as the memory of the lockdown is still fresh.
The program I went for was already scheduled, so I had to come. So that's why we're rushing back so that we'll meet up with the lockdown, if there will be any. We pray there won't be, because a lot of us have not recovered.
Meanwhile, there are indications that there will be a surge in traffic for Christmas, and this is why the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has put in place the necessary infrastructure to guarantee safety and security of passengers.
Christmas tends to be coming too soon for the aviation sector to recover, simply because the path to resuscitation of the industry is a process which must start with adherence to COVID-19 protocol, followed by reduction in new COVID-19 cases, and finally, reawakening the confidence of travelers to fly again. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
We now take a break. Nationwide continues shortly.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
When you think about hospitality and affordable luxury away from home, then you talk about Sharon Ultimate Hotels, a secured and serene environment that offers kingly services such as 24-hour room service, impeccable security with CCTV surveillance, parking lots, free Wi-Fi internet service, free complimentary breakfast, restaurant that offers continental and local dishes, well-equipped fitness center with instructors, swimming pool, 350 capacity multi-purpose hall, laundry service, pastry corner, mini-mart, and our suites are breathtaking. For reservation, locate us at plot 1710, Tafawa Balewa Way, Area 3, Garikia, Abuja. Sharon Ultimate Hotels, the ultimate place.
Una don hear say dem dey rape about 35% of them girl pikin, and even them women sef. Some of them they even die in the process. Emotional trauma uncle, e dey make some of them be like say they no dey this world again, they don't go, but they still they live like ghosts. Some of them shame don kuku make them go kill themselves. E no good oh. This no be our culture. E no fit be the African way. Why we can't allow this kind of thing join body with us so that e loud well. If you know they fear law where man put, you know they fear Baba God there. You self, you where they cover mouth so you see many wana they happen. You know why here when the Oyibo talk say problem where they bring come out, they solve and sharply. Remember, person wey feel rape, if it's a key person if it be you, if it be your pikin, if it be person them where you love well. So make we learn to carry women them like diamond where we be. No grief for rape oh.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV Channel 251, GoTV Channel 91, Freeview UK Channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android, Intelsat 901 degree east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
After a 7-goal demolition at the hands of the champions last time out, will Crystal Palace enjoy a Merry Christmas when they visit Villa Park? This Saturday, it's Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Baba Ijebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
Thanks for staying. Nationwide continues in Abuja. You may have noticed crowds around offices of the National Identity Management Commission in recent days. Why is this so, and what has been done about it? Victor Azu was at the NIMC headquarters to find out why.
This is a new phase of most National Identity Management Commission NIMC offices across the country since the federal government ordered telecommunications companies to disconnect all phone lines not identified with a national identity number NIN. The crowd here at the Commission's headquarters wouldn't even allow the NTA crew access through the main gate. For these ones right here behind me, the desperation to keep their lines open and working supersedes fear of contracting the unrelenting COVID-19.
The crowd is too much. The federal government is supposed to look into it. For the past 3 years, I've enrolled for the national ID, and tonight has not come out.
At the back gate, we met a smaller crowd, but the complaints remained.
They asked us to follow line, but they now open another door at the back, collecting people, which people are gathering there more than 6 hours.
We then went up to get an explanation. It would seem that previous deadlines for NIN registration were not heeded, hence the crowds.
The first group of people is me and you that already have NIN, and then we have multiple SIMs. We should take care of these things. You don't need to panic, you don't need to do anything. But if you have SIM and you don't have NIN, then that is where we have problems, that you need to be registered. And those are the people that you have seen.
The NIMC DG, however, promises that there will be more centers to aid registration in the new year. The 3-week extension notwithstanding, it's only a matter of time before that also elapses. For now, Nigerians need to be more interested, and those who are saddled with the responsibility of getting these connections done need to be more proactive. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
The same thing plays out at Jigawa. The National Identity Management Commission office in Jigawa State is witnessing an increased number of enrollees following the federal government's directives on the need for Nigerians to link up their mobile phones numbers to their National Identification Number NIN. This is coming as officials of the Identity Management Office are expressing concern over observance of COVID-19 protocols by the NIN seekers. Mohammed Musa Askira reports.
For the recent development, the National Identity Management Commission's office in Jigawa State has been without crowd as people were reluctant to come forth for the registration. This attitude was said to have hindered the registration process in the state because since 2017, when the exercise began till date, the 32 functional registration centers spread across the 27 local government areas in the state could only register slightly above 800,000 people out of the 5.4 million of the state's population. Therefore, the government instructions for the citizens to link up their national identification numbers with their mobile phone numbers is what pulls the recent crowds at the NIMC office.
So I want to appeal to our people to come out and do this. Even when you come to the center, even when you see a large crowd, please try, and get registered.
A serious concern facing the NIMC officials, however, is to ensuring that everyone observes the COVID-19 protocols, such as wearing of face masks and observing physical social distancing, as applicants who fell short of complying to these guidelines are denied entry to the registration center. The exercise will continue as more registration centers will be established to ease the crowd and contain the spread of coronavirus pandemic, according to the state coordinator of the commission. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Meanwhile, following the deadline given by the federal government for the integration of SIM card with the National Identity Number NIN, residents of Osun State are leaving nothing to chance to beat the deadline. Femi Afariogun reports that registration centers are orderly with strict compliance to COVID-19 protocols.
Despite the 6-week extension for subscribers to link their SIM with National Identification Number, residents are leaving nothing to chance to get themselves registered at NIMC office in Osogbo. The registration process is orderly, while those being attended to comply with COVID-19 protocols. It was a lucky day for Matthew Oluwasegun, who for the past 2 months has been traveling all the way from Ire town to Osogbo to get his national identity number.
I'm not doing it because of what they said, that maybe because of SIM card, because I'm a student and I'm an undergraduate. I know that someday I'll come to a point where I will need it.
Though the process of capturing people is fast, some registrants are still skeptical about the grace period given by the federal government for all to integrate their SIM cards.
And I'm betting you the extension the government has given us, 90% of Nigeria will never get registered. Some have been here as early as 5 a.m. and they are still on the door there.
They extend it to maybe November, December next year. People will not turn up. Are you getting it? It is good to do it in time.
Although no staff of NIMC was ready to talk, it was gathered that about 150 enrollees are being attended to per day in Oshogbo. Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
We told you earlier that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has conditionally suspended its 9-month strike. Let me now bring in Malam Abdullahi, an educationist, to talk more on the issue. Malam Ibrahim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
ASUU and the federal government have reached an agreement and the 9-month industrial action has been called off. Tell me, as a parent and an educationist, what are your thoughts?
Let me first and foremost congratulate the academic staff, the Nigerian government and Nigerian students for once again getting our campuses open for all, for being patient all this while doing a welcome development by all, and we are happy that all of the strike action embarked upon, I think, one of the longest strike action by our academic staff. You see what it takes in order not to experience this kind of strike ever. I think we have had enough isolation a long period of time. I think the government, in fact, the 3 arms of government must find a way of resolving, of making sure that this kind of crisis never ever be realistic in this approach. And
we apologize for the poor audio quality on that interview. We hope we can re-establish connections with Malam Ibrahim Abdullahi. We now go to Makudi Network Center for our next set of stories on Nationwide, and Iveren is ready.
Thank you, Lydia. Good evening and welcome to Makudi. As we count down to Christmas, prices of food items in the markets in Makudi, the Benue State capital, have soared by 75%. Iveren Solomon brings us an update.
A visit to the higher level and Wadata markets indicates that the price of food items are on the increase. The price of cows range from 50 to 400,000 naira, while goats are sold for 15 to 30,000 naira. Local chicken, which was sold for 2,500 naira last year Christmas, now goes for 4,500 naira this year. Meanwhile, a measure of local rice, rubber bucket of tomatoes, pepper and onions are sold for 500, 800, 200 and 2,500 naira respectively.
So we are selling last year 2,000 naira. This year is 4,000 naira. And the type where we to sell 1,700, 1,500. We are selling it now in the rate of 3,000 plus. So the price of chicken, I sell like layers. You know, some people they are complaining because last year we sell it the rate of 1,300. But this is for 2,000 naira.
If you say money do now, everybody go gather, everybody go share, push my push you go there. But now nothing move, we just there.
Some buyers lament the high cost of things, especially food items in the market.
I can say everything is expensive, but we still trust, if we trust God, that things will get better one day.
Okay, these things are very expensive compared to last year. They further appealed to the relevant authorities to reduce the cost of fare to ease transportation of goods and people this season. In Makudi, Iveren Solomon, NTA News.
And in a related report, with less than 48 hours to Christmas celebration, Makurdi motor parks in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, are witnessing low turnout of passengers to various parts of the country. Iverin Solomon again has a situation report.
What you are witnessing here today is peculiar to the people of Benue State at this time of the year, as many of them are traveling to celebrate the Yuletide with their loved ones. Makurdi, the Benue State capital, in the time past usually witnessed beehive of activities, especially vehicular movements and persons coming in and out of the state during the Yuletide. This year's celebration seems to be a bit different, as most of the parks visited had few persons traveling out and hardly seen vehicles coming to the state. A situation some transport operators attributed to lack of money or probably due to COVID-19 pandemic.
I know the patronage is normal, but before, during this time around, you hardly see vehicle. You can only see crowd looking for vehicle. That means that the demand is more than the supply.
So we have stepped out the price so that we'll be able to low vehicles. They still have something to fuel these cars that can convey people from those places I have mentioned to Makurdi and to other places.
Passengers, on the other hand, lamented the hike in the fare this year.
There's a hike in price, but then we still have to travel to see our loved ones. So that's just it, nothing again. But we can see passengers. I don't know if there's no money, I don't know.
The first bus timers have already left. We are waiting for this one to fill up there. I'm here for over 2 hours now, and we are still waiting for the vehicle from here to Katsina. But still, they are still promising us that we should wait.
Makurdi to Abuja is now 2,500 naira against 2,000 naira in the past, while Makurdi to Calabar and to the east is 6,500 naira and 5,500 naira respectively. In most of the parks visited, there was no observance of COVID-19 protocol. In Makurdi, Iverin Solomon, NTA News.
That's our bit from Makurdi. It's back to you, Lydia, in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Many thanks, Iverin. We'll now take another break. We'll be right back with more reports.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
NTA News 24, a 24-hour news station, brings to you news and happenings 7 days a week.
News at 10 a.m., news update at 11 and 1 p.m.
News desk at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and late evening news at 11 p.m.
Follow us on any of our platforms and keep abreast of events and current affairs within and outside our shores.
We are on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46,
StarTimes channel 101, and Free TV channel 703.
Join us.
After a 7-goal demolition at the hands of the champions last time out, will Crystal Palace enjoy a Merry Christmas when they visit Villa Park? This Saturday, it's Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Goal.com.
Welcome back. The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, has asked members of the public to discountenance fake news making the rounds of a purported breach of the National Identity Database. A statement by NIMC's head of corporate communications, Kayode Adegoke, indicates that the information being circulated largely on the social media is the handiwork of mischief makers. The statement adds that investigations on the alleged data dump were found to be non-existent in the National Identity Database. NIMC guarantees the security of the National Identity Database through various layers of security and can assure that no data was breached, the statement concludes. The Department of State Security Services has warned against planned by some unscrupulous Nigerians to afflict pain and injuries on innocent Nigerians during the Yuletide to desist from such dastardly act. A statement by the Public Relations Officer of the DSS, Dr. Peter Afunaya, indicates that the planned attacks will be carried out through the use of improvised explosive devices and other dangerous weapons around places of worship and social gatherings. The statement appealed to Nigerians to be vigilant and report suspicious movement through the following mobile contacts: 081-32222-105 and 090-3000-2189 for quick response to emergency situations during the celebrations. DSS says it is taking far-reaching security approach to ensure that citizens are safe and go about their celebrations peacefully without any apprehension. Still on the Yuletide, the Federal Road Safety Corps has redeployed over 1,000 personnel to the Onitsha Bridge head axis, the major corridor of the southern part of Nigeria. This is to ensure free flow of traffic occasioned by unprecedented increase of vehicular density during the Yuletide. FRSC Corps Marshal Boboye Oyemi briefed the Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa on other measures taken to decongest the roads. Ifeoma Okafor has the details.
Last year, Delta State recorded 4 deaths in auto crash during the Yuletide. It is another Yuletide, and the Federal Road Safety Corps has put strategies in place to avoid carnage on the highways and ensure free flow of traffic, especially at the Niger Bridgehead. The FRSC Corps Marshal Boboye Oyemi said the FRSC officers are collaborating with the Delta State Traffic Management Agency in this regard. Governor Kowa got commendations for his support and interest in road traffic management and for providing a training school for the FRSC at Owalero in Delta State. In Asaba, Ifeoma Okafor, NTA News.
With about 78 convictions and 10 vehicles forfeited to the federal government, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, says it has decimated illegal oil bunkering in Rivers State. State Commandant NSCDC Mukhtar Lawal disclosed this while reeling out the achievements of the Corps for the year 2020. Robinson Deratide reports.
To checkmate the excesses of oil thieves in Rivers State, the NSCDC developed an internal mechanism of local intelligence around the pipelines to complement the patrol around the various locations. This led to the arrest of not fewer than 187 suspected oil thieves, 195 trucks and vehicles used for vandalism, as well as unquantifiable quantity of adulterated petroleum products.
Arrests 186 suspected oil thieves, forfeit a tugboat, 10 trucks for the federal government, while 74 cases are currently on with 48 suspects facing trials in Federal High Court in Port Harcourt.
Apart from securing 98 convictions, the command successfully resolved 21 civil cases and 22 cases relating to corruption and sharp practices. 115 operators of private guards company in Rivers State also underwent regular training by the command. The commandant assured the public of deploying 3,500 personnel to all recreational and worship centers, as well as flashpoints, to achieve a seamless Yuletide celebration. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Delatide, NTA News.
We now go back to our interview with Malam Ibrahim Abdullahi on the suspended 9-month strike by ASUU. If you can hear me now, I asked you a question earlier. I said, with this development, what are your thoughts as an educationist and a parent? It seems like we're still having challenges on that report. We're moving on now to our next story from Ibadan. Governor Seyi Makinde has inaugurated the members of the Oyo State Anti-Corruption Agency as part of efforts to rid the state of systemic corruption. And the report will come in our subsequent bulletin. Communal support of all government projects is vital to the timely delivery of such projects. This focus brought together community leaders and other stakeholders in Oyo State on measures to avert flooding in the state. Ife Oluwa Omoshule's report is here presented. Seems like that will also come in subsequent bulletin. Government at all levels should hands off direct management of waste in Nigeria by engaging the private sector to ensure service delivery and job creation. This is one of the outcomes of the 2020 Cleanest State Index ratings in Nigeria done by Clean Up Nigeria. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, who joined the virtual media conference, now reports.
They say is next to holiness, and to perform the task of the index rating, 5 performance indicators were used by the 15-man technical study group during its quarterly monitoring and evaluation in the entire states and zones of the Federation. National coordinator of the organization, Enebaba Owo, said the 2020 study ran from December 2019 to November 2020. Akwa Ibom, Bauchi, Ebonyi, Lagos, Kaduna, and the Federal Capital Territory top their geopolitical zones in the rating.
We wish to congratulate Akwa Ibom State people and the government for emerging the cleanest state for the year 2020 in Nigeria, with 80% to be their closest state, Ebonyi, that scored 44%. And our congratulations goes to Abuja for emerging the cleanest city in Nigeria.
Enebaba Owo said there is 5% increment in cleanliness and hygiene in Nigeria after the previous 2 surveys carried out by the group. The group urged governments at all levels to improve the knowledge, attitude, and practice of hygiene and sanitation among Nigerians. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Nigeria's House of Representatives takes pride of being the largest body of representative democracy. This comes with huge responsibility. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on how the House provided value leadership in 2020 to ensure Nigeria remains afloat as the global health crisis persists.
Faced with economic uncertainties as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria had to reset her priorities. The government sought the amendments of the 2020 appropriation bill, which the House passed in record time. The 360 House members also went a step further by contributing their salaries for 2 months to the COVID-19 intervention fund.
We acted to slow the spread of disease, to treat the sick, comfort the afflicted, and provide for the most vulnerable in our nation's citizens.
In exercising its legislative powers effectively to tackle the issue at hand, the House introduced the Emergency Economic Stimulus Bill and the Infectious Diseases Bill towards mitigating the impact of the health crisis.
It is now at the committee level. The committee has now created room and window, as usual, for every component of Nigerian people to come and also contribute. Where Nigerians or some sections of Nigerians are not comfortable with the provisions of the law, fine. It doesn't mean that we will always be right. That is why we have always accorded Nigerians that window, that component for consideration.
In tune with reality, the House of Representatives rejigged its legislative agenda and set up the ad hoc committee on COVID-19 to provide legislative support to the containment efforts. Well before the NSAS protests, the House, having been in touch with constituents, introduced and passed the police reform bill, which was assented to by the President.
We cannot escape the hard truth that this has been a tough year of suffering for too many citizens, a year like none before. If we learned nothing else, we learned that we have a limited window to address problems that have been a long time in the making.
Its attempt at unraveling alleged infractions as the Niger Delta Development Commission witnessed a dramatic turn of events when the then acting MD slumped at the investigative hearing. The leadership of the House embarked on legislative diplomacy in Ghana in response to the appeals of Nigerian traders there. Despite the turbulence of 2020, the House was determined in sticking to the January to December budget cycle as it passed the 2021 budget in the run-up to Christmas.
We have worked with the federal government, ministries, departments, and agencies to set priorities. We reached out to stakeholders and citizens groups. We liaised with constituencies or with constituents to understand their expectations and reflect their expectations, those expectations in our consideration of the appropriation bill. I am glad to report that these efforts have been worthwhile, and today we have passed the budget in the House of Representatives in good time to maintain the January to December budget cycle in line with the commitments we made when we resumed office.
Lami Ali, NTA News.
Implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is set to take off on the 1st of January 2021, and some Nigerians have been expressing concerns about the level of preparedness of Africa and Nigeria for a smooth takeoff. Now, guests on Good Morning Nigeria, while optimistic of a smooth takeoff, say most of the issues of concern will be addressed as implementation will be gradually worked on as it progresses. Alika Okpanachi, Arua reports.
The implementation of a single African market is an agreement between African countries to trade among themselves without barrier of custom duties or tariffs. Guest on Good Morning Nigeria says it will not only help to strengthen cooperation among nations on the continent, but also improve economic activities of member countries while contributing to the country's gross domestic product, GDP.
Go to all the markets that are in Africa, 55 member countries of Africa today, you find about 67% of occupants, of business actors are Nigerians.
The way we fear whatever will happen to this, or some people have some fears, that is the same way other countries will also have fear that Nigerians will dominate everywhere. Just like has been stated that quite a number of traders all over Africa are Nigerians.
While emphasizing the need for total commitment and respect to the terms of agreement by member countries, the guests maintain that liberalization will not be 100% from the onset, but a gradual process spanning over a period of 10 years for ECOWAS member countries.
We are very much familiar with trading in goods, having done that other ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. We are familiar with issues that have to be come up in terms of tradable products. But that of trading in services has to be actually be looked into very well.
Some of the things that you will need to have in place for somebody to get to the border and exercise the rights, the preferential treatment, are not yet in place.
On the issue of attacks on Nigerians and other African traders on the continent, the guest says there is need for dispute management mechanism in place to tackle this situation if and when it arises. In Abuja, Alika Okpanachi, Arua, NTA News.
And back to the Yuletide, families planning to engage in long-distance travels may have their fears of uncertainty allayed as the Federal Road Safety Corps says they can seek the services of the Corps to help prevent unprecedented road accidents during the Yuletide and ensure safety on the highways. The Corps Marshal FRSC Boboye Oyeyemi revealed this at a press briefing to update the public on the level of preparedness of the Corps for the 2020 end-of-the-year special patrol as part of measures put in place by the Corps to protect lives and property during the festivities. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
The Federal Road Safety Corps reveals that as of today, speed violation has increased by 50% due to some roads being rehabilitated, hence an opportunity for some drivers to overspeed. The Corps reveals that most road crashes recorded during Yuletide seasons in the country involves private vehicles with 51% caused by overspeeding. As the Yuletide season commences, vehicular and human movement is expected to be high. So, this stakeholders meeting is to intimate on plans of the Corps in arresting and prosecuting road traffic offenders accordingly.
This year, the Corps is focused on the specific objective of the following: sustain reduction of road traffic crashes, injuries, and fatalities, ensuring compliance with the guidelines and protocol of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 as prescribed by the National Center for Disease Control, improve on response time to distress calls, and facilitate efficient post-care services.
In the face of the second wave of COVID-19, the Corps charged motorists to observe the safety precautions in order to curb the further spread of the virus through commuting.
Going forward, we have tasks ahead to ensure the full compliance with safety valves. We are similarly discussing the issue of the heavy-duty vehicles.
We continue to educate our employee, the driver, on their civic responsibility.
A total of 25,224 personnel, including 7,000 officers, 18,124 marshals, and 12,225 special marshals have been deployed at identified areas across the country, aside vehicles and other equipment distributed to prevent road congestion. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Sports update is next with Tamara Ebiwe.
Welcome to Sports Updates. I am Tamara Ebiwe. We begin with tennis, where the three-day Oyo State Tennis Championship is set for its grand finale at the Ibadan Recreation Club on Thursday, with 112 participants contesting for honors in junior, intermediate, and senior categories. Lanre Gbeleyi reports that Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, who served off the championship, says the maiden edition will be used to further develop tennis at the grassroots and discover talents.
So it's one of our talents, and we will support him.
To football now, more than 15 years it last hosted an international football competition. The National Stadium Surulere, Lagos, could be ready to host international matches from May 2021. Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare gave the indication during an inspection tour of the stadium, which has been rehabilitated through a public-private model under the ADOPT initiative of the ministry.
We also hope at that time we'll be able to take care of some of the a large portion of the terraces that will be compliant with FIFA.
Still on football, Argentina and FC Barcelona legend Lionel Messi has been receiving plaudits after scoring his 644 club career goal to overtake the previous record of 643 goals set by Pelé for Santos between 1956 and 1974. The 33-year-old inspired FC Barcelona to a 3-0 victory at Real Valladolid on Tuesday to add to his vast collection of honors, including 10 La Liga and 4 Champions League titles and 6 Ballon d'Or awards, among others. And that's it on Sports Update. I am Tamara Ebiwe. Thanks for watching.
And that concludes Nationwide. We thank you for being a part of our package. Do have a wonderful evening. Compliments of the season. I am Lydia Ojiji Ochi. Goodbye.